Hi, I'm Rafał. Thank you for choosing to watch this video. And I know it's been a while since I posted anything related to the 690, but the good news is, mechanically, everything is fine. But in terms of customer service from KTM, there are still some things to talk about. So let's take a ride and let me cover the details. But before I will talk about the KTM customer care issue, you might have noticed that I have a device installed here. This is the Aoocci C6 Pro. It's an Android Auto Apple CarPlay display that comes with two cameras for rear and front, comes with the tire pressure sensors and a remote control, but about that later on. Let's start with the KTM stuff. All right, let me give you some context first, because I bought this bike in October last year. It was one of the first 690s of the new generation delivered to Poland. When I bought this bike, the dealer never told me that this is a one-seater, and I never asked because would you assume that the 690, the next generation, is a one-seater? It was always been a two-seater. On top of that, the dealer, when I purchased the bike, he gave me the footpegs for the passenger. So, you know, who would have thought that this is homologated as one-seater? I only find this out when I went to the registration office, and when after 2 weeks after the purchase, and when I received the registration papers. This is how it works in Poland. First you get like the soft registration paper when they go through some checkups, and then 2 weeks later they give you the final documents. It was only then when I found out that this motorcycle is registered just for one person. And you might wonder why this matters. So first of all, basically, this is not my intention to use this motorcycle on a regular basis as a two-seater. I don't even have the footpegs installed. But this is not the problem. The problem is that if I would ever need to use this motorcycle as two-seater, then legally I am not able to do that. So if police would stop me with a passenger and they would check my documents, I would be in trouble. In case of any emergency accident, if I would be riding with a passenger, then again I would not be doing this legally, insurance may not be working, and so on and so on. You got my point. So it's not that I want to ride this bike with a passenger on a regular basis, but you know, I bought this as a two-seater. And I also received the footpegs, and in the instruction there is information about riding with passenger, and so on and so on. So after I received the documents from the registration office, I turned back to my dealer saying, hey, I think there is some mistake in the documentation, because this bike can only be registered as one-seater. So I know that the dealer worked with the headquarters for KTM for our region, which is in Slovakia, I believe. And after some time, they presented me with another document of homologation saying that this bike is a one-seater, optionally can be used by two people. So I took this document to the registration office. There is a very nice lady who wants to really help to get this problem solved, and she said, okay, that is step number one. In the step number two, I need also another document that would confirm the registration details for this particular motorcycle. In point 12 on the document, there needs to be exactly the same information, so that this bike it is possible to register this as a two-seater. And then she will also work with a central database of vehicles in Poland, and then they will mark it as a two-seater in the database, so every other 690 registered in Poland would be registered as a two-seater, as they should be, right? And this is where the problem starts, because it's been since October, 8 months, 9 months, and KTM is not able to provide me with that document. They stopped responding to my emails. They say they will call me back, and then they don't. And this is quite annoying, I have to say. that, you know, it seems like they are hiding their head in the sand. But interestingly, recently I was contacted by another rider from Poland who was just about to purchase the 690. And his dealer showed him on the screen that for Europe there are two different types of 690 Enduro R. One that has been homologated as a one-seater, and interestingly it even says on the KTM documentation that it has been delivered to customers with passenger footpegs. And when probably me and other customers started complaining about the problem, they probably, I don't know the details of this, they probably rerun the homologation, and the next part of the production has been already homologated as two people, so they have corrected the problem. Okay, so probably if you buy the motorcycle with a certain number in the homologation papers, you will be able to have it registered normally for two people. But I don't. I still don't have that document. And I wonder, what should I do with it? Like, I think there are three things that are possible if KTM would like to solve this issue. Number one, which is the least probable, I'll be happy to replace my motorcycle for a new one with a registration for two people. But I don't think they will ever go that way, because they would probably have to replace a lot of motorcycles in the whole Europe. So number two, should they offer me maybe a discount? I know that this bike is now in promotion. I paid full price for it, so now it is for much lower price with tech pack included. I paid the full price for the motorcycle that is not fully valuable, because it is, from the documents perspective, just a one-seater. And I also paid for the tech pack, which makes me angry, annoyed, especially having in mind the situation with the registration. My top choice would be that they would provide me with a corrected homologation for my bike, so I could run the registration again till the end, to have it registered as a two-seater, just in case I would ever need this. But at the moment, this seems like a huge problem for KTM. Tell me, like, what would you do? What would be your suggested approach to this? I know I can take this matter to some customer protection offices here in Poland, and I have luckily everything in written form. When I contacted the dealer, all of the topic around these documents were covered by email. Then I had this document where they try to correct the registration, but it is not enough for the registration office, and so on and so on. So everything is documented. They seem to, like, they know they made a mistake when homologating this bike, right? They know it because they ran the homologation for the second time. They also tried to fix the documents, but there is some other problem that they are not able to fix. So be careful when you're buying 690. Make sure to check the documentation. Are you able to have it like in the full value as a two-seater? Or do you have a great deal on a motorcycle that you're only able to register for one person? So you need to check that in the documentation. And I know that this person who contacted me, when they saw that this great deal that they had for the motorcycle was for a unit that can only be registered as a one-person vehicle, they never bought the bike, okay? Because they also think that this is not right. So I see that KTM is trying to improve their customer care with the extended warranty and so on and so on. But with some basic stuff, they still have a lot of room for improvement, and really showing that they are there to solve their own mistakes, right? Because this is not a mistake that I bought the bike from the dealer. We never talked about it, that this is a one-seater. It was never mentioned. I only find out like 2 weeks later when I received the registration papers. This is not right. So I think KTM should fix it. They should offer me some kind of solution. but they seem to be trying to avoid it, so this is quite annoying. You might see that I have some thing installed today on my bike, and I have received this unit from Aoocci. This is Aoocci C6 Pro. This is another solution to have either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay on your motorcycle. But I only installed it temporarily because I think it suits better a big adventure bike, because it has front and rear camera. It also has a remote control, so there are quite a few cables to hide underneath the plastics. But I was able to temporarily install it also on the 690. Interestingly, just to mount the cameras, I have used some tape. What is really cool about this device is that it has a great screen brightness. So even in the direct sunlight, everything is perfectly visible. It has Android Auto. You just tap on it and the Android Auto starts. And now you can manage your navigation, you can manage the music, you can manage also your phone calls. You can run all of the apps that are Android Auto compatible. So think about OSMN or Spotify or any app for your audiobooks. So you have one camera in the back, one camera in the front. And the recording starts immediately after the device boots up, and it boots up in around 10 seconds or so. So it's fast. The recording starts immediately, and then it is recorded in a continuous loop. Why would you need that? I think this is just in the case of emergency, if you would like to have a simpler case with your insurance company. The remote control allows you to answer the phone call or change the camera views and so on. Interestingly, this device also has tire pressure monitoring sensors. You just replace the caps on the valves on both wheels, and you should see the air pressure, but also, which is interesting, the air temperature that is inside the tube. So if you are running a low pressure and you see that the air is getting really hot, you might want to change the pressure. For example, there is one more clever thing related to this device, is that the mounting screws, the Torx has a little pin in the bolt and a little hole in the tool that you use to put the device on your motorcycle. This would prevent anyone with a standard Torx tool to take this off your motorcycle. So this is a clever way to have the device securely mounted on the motorcycle. So I like that. So if you are looking for a waterproof navigation that works with your phone, like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, I think this is a good solution. The only challenge I have already found is with updating the software on this device. You need to have a Windows laptop to do it. I don't have one, so it was a challenge for me to update. So I guess one feature request that makes sense in this case is to have over-the-air updates, and that would be much easier to do. You can also connect it to your USB port on the bike, USB-A, not C. And you can also connect it directly to battery. Everything is included in the box. There are plenty of YouTube videos with unboxing process, with installing process. I only focus on how it works in kind of riding scenarios. So I'm happy to say that just a connection with the phone provides you with everything you like about the apps on your phone, and it works fast. So for example, if I just tap here on the Android Auto, there we go. If you would like to buy this device, Aoocci has offered 22% discount for the viewers of my channel. You just need to use this code on the checkout or just use the link from the description of this video. So please feel free. If you are looking for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay device for the motorcycle, that might be a good solution. thank you for watching today. Please let me know how would you approach the KTM thing with one-person registration. I think they should offer me some kind of a solution. Ideally, that would be the document that would allow me to register this as a two-seater, case closed. But I am also open to other options, but they do not offer anything, so yeah. The bike is great. Customer care could be improved. Alright, thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Cheers.